Magikarp Jump, a Pokemon spin-off game released for mobile devices in 2017. Being one of the first mobile games released after Pokemon Go alongside Pokemon Duel, it received a fair amount of attention within its first few months. And apparently it even continued to get updates, though nothing too major. But I find it funny that bug fixes were rolled out as late as 2022. Of course, Magikarp Jump didn't have the type of potential longevity that other games did, which were cut short, but it was still a fun time. I remember when it first came out, I ended up talking about it with some other people at school. Some of them had also been playing it and became obsessed, so we went on and on about it, but I remember one friend in particular simply asking, why? And I couldn't really explain the appeal beyond its fun, but now with some years of retrospect and a really cool YouTube channel, I've been thinking that it deserves another look because, like, what happened to this? So Magikarp Jump is a simulation game wherein you raise a Magikarp inside a little pond, feeding it, training it, and eventually taking on other Magikarp in competitions to see who can jump the highest. And that is basically it. There are some other cool little details I'll get into in a second, but the core gameplay is about raising your Magikarp's JP, or jump power. As you progress, you will unlock different types of berries that you can then further upgrade. These will increase the amount of JP they reward to your Magikarp. The same goes for the types of training that you can do, though I love how the two types you start off with are the punching bag and the jump counter. While a punching bag is a basic form of training, it still reminds me of the super training in Pokemon X and Y. The jump counter is also a nice callback to the minigame from Pokemon Stadium. It all feels very appropriate. Your training is limited by training points that regenerate after a certain amount of time, or can be replenished through random events or items that you can purchase. The random events can actually make it very playable, but the intention of the game is to keep you waiting so that you'll either come back later, thus getting you hooked on the gameplay, or to get you to spend real money to accelerate things. You know, typical mobile game mechanics. Though I feel like Magikarp Jump handles it pretty well. I mean, there is a set campaign so you can enjoy it on your own time. As mentioned, that campaign consists of jumping contests, which are dependent on your Magikarp's JP and don't require any actual skill. You'll also be rewarded with prizes along the way. The worst part is that every Magikarp has a set maximum level that cannot be raised, and when Magikarp reaches that max level, you're forced to participate in league battles until you lose, at which point the Magikarp retires and you need to start all over again with a new Magikarp that has a slightly higher maximum level. Overall, it's pretty repetitive, but the different patterns you can obtain kind of make it exciting. This is one of the things I loved most about this game. While some of these patterns and colors are a bit basic, some others get really unique and vibrant, and I really wish we would have seen them appear in other games or media. Magikarp as a Pokemon is so plain and common, so I feel like incorporating different colors and patterns would help in setting them all apart. Oh, also, while I was recording some gameplay footage of a new run, I actually fished up a shiny Magikarp, so yeah, I'm a bit of a big deal. And that really is a big focus of the game, going through multiple generations of Magikarp. Whether they retire because they can no longer keep up in the big leagues, surpass their limits and evolve into a Gyarados, thus technically not being a Magikarp anymore and forced to retire, or get snatched up by a Pidgeotto, or even blasted into bits by a Voltorb. Oh gosh, you shouldn't get too attached to any single Magikarp, even Goldie. I also really love the look of this game overall. It's got a nice soft style with bright colors and thick outlines on everything that just makes it look even cuter. You can also continuously upgrade your pawn with different decorations and new Pokemon that will each give additional buffs or bonus effects. Some Pokemon are unlocked through gameplay and others can be purchased for diamonds in the shop. Again, you can buy those diamonds with real money or try to grind for them in the game, so whatever you want to spend on the game is determined by how desperate you are or how quickly you want to get things. Sadly, I don't have a screenshot of my really nice pawn from my original playthrough way back in 2017, because I had to start over on this new phone for this recording, but rest assured it can look pretty cool by the end of things. Even though this game didn't continue receiving a lot of major updates aside from more league battles, I wouldn't really call it a dead game in the current year in the same way other recent spin-off games have ended up. With Magikarp Jump, it's not like there was a plan to eventually release even more Pokemon, or have timed events, or even an aspect that will let you connect with another player. From the very start, this is meant to be a little pet simulator video game. There is technically a campaign in the form of the different leagues, and it has a designated ending point. The fun of it comes from raising a Magikarp or seeing how many different patterns you can collect throughout the generations, and which random encounters you can see. The random encounters are even kept in their own separate decks, so you're really meant to explore and experience everything you can, hopefully completing them all eventually. And it's not like the game was taken down or anything, it's completely self-contained and can be played offline, so you can still download it and play it today if you're looking for a fun little simulator. So personally, I would recommend it. Though I can't say the same for Survive Mola Mola. See, Magikarp Jump was developed by the company Start Button, who had previously made this similarly themed game for mobile devices called Survive Mola Mola, where you take care of a sunfish. Truly a fish that only a mother can love. If you thought Magikarp Jump was brutal, oh boy, you haven't seen anything because apparently sunfish can just die multiple different ways. The game does look nice though, it has this pixel aesthetic, and when your fish levels up they even just reference Pokemon evolution. So I think it's kind of nice that the developers of this would go on to make Magikarp Jump. But yeah, playing this even for a little while, it's basically the same game, though it doesn't have the Pokemon flavor or the jumping battles, which I feel gives the little extra oomph that the game needed. Later on in the anime Pokemon Journeys, there would even be an episode dedicated to Magikarp Jump. Go decides to enter the jumping competition with the giant Magikarp he caught a few episodes prior. Though it needs to get in shape, so we're treated to a training montage referencing all of the training from the game. The entire episode is just meant to be funny. As soon as Buff, Ash, and Go appear on screen, it's clear that this was all for laughs. Especially because once Go is about to face off against the champion and his shiny Magikarp, Go reveals that his Magikarp was wearing weights the entire time to hold back its power, and then it just blasts off in the most intense anime fight scene style that it can until it launches itself all the way up into space. Absolutely hilarious. This half episode ends with it actually staying up in space, and it isn't until the second half where it finally falls back down to Earth and resolves the other conflict. This is a top tier gag episode. Kinda weird how it came out like 3 years after Magikarp Jump did, but it was a nice idea to reference the game. And that's basically Magikarp Jump. One of those interesting little spin-off games that's charming but doesn't make too much of a lasting impression. I think the strength of it being self-contained also means that once you play it and finish it, or at least get as far as you want to, that's basically all there is. It did come out at the right time though, as Pokemon was gearing up with their library of mobile games. And 2017 just ended up becoming the year of Magikarp, I guess, as they also released that one Magikarp song, which was pretty funny and even appeared in the anime episode. I think this was a great entry and wouldn't mind seeing more like it. Just a simple game that doesn't necessarily need a big commitment to constantly keep up with and has a focus on one aspect of Pokemon. Honestly, they deserve some props for making Hey You Pikachu, but good. Gyarados is one of my favorite Pokemon, so Magikarp also ends up being grouped in there, so maybe I get a little more enjoyment out of this than others. So let me know what you think. Have you played this game? Did you like it? And what are your thoughts for the future? Anyway, right about now seems like the perfect time for this Magikarp to retire. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, especially the great Gators, Brandon Mork, Cheeseburger Lasers, Gavnuts, Justin R, Cosmo Zero, Michaela, Quago, Volity, and Pastel Blood. If you would like to support, get your name shouted out here, as well as access to emotes for comments and live streams, as well as early videos, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter as well for more memes, but anyway, this has been GatorEX, I'll catch you all later.
There's a hard way to see water Pokemon, and there's an easy way. By watching a full week special water event, Pokemon Master Water Quest Week, this Monday through Friday at 4, only on Kids WB.
I don't want to be your master!